Hey,
Hey.
you hear me okay?
Yeah, I haven't had the best experiences with the woman that you were just talking with, so I'm a little annoyed with her, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Um,
It's fine.
this
She's one
is
of the first few people that came at me saying I was just talking about all the hope stuff for attention. I have screenshots of that, which is just so great. I was talking about it because people have been crawling up my ass for months trying to get information. And I figured the best way to shut them up was to talk about it.
sure.
But it seems like people are parroting everything I've been saying.
This is a really complicated case. It's a very
I know.
complicated story with
I've
really
died for times.
emotions run high, for sure.
Oh yeah. Um, hurts more when you were directly involved with her. Trust me.
I would love to hear everything, please. So how did
Uh,
you know Hope? Where'd you meet her?
I met her on Instagram around 2018, and we were talking kind of on and off about music and stuff for the most part. And then in I want to say 2019, we started getting close. It was the end of that year, roughly. And then in 2020, we were both admitted in the hospital at the same time. So that's when we really got to talking more because there's nothing to do when you're in the hospital. Now, we weren't in the same hospital, but we were just, bored at the same time.
Sure.
Um, and I found out she was moving to Pennsylvania about 2.5 hours from me, which cool, you find a friend that you get along with and they're moving close. That's great. But it was a plan apparently the whole time. So she ended up moving to Pennsylvania because, oh man, she got thrown out of her mom's house in New York for her fake cancer scheme and was forced to move in with Matt's aunt.
Hmm.
And then she had a very staged suicide attempt. When I say staged, I mean she wrote down everything that she took down to the milligram and had it on a piece of paper next to her. So when the police and everyone got there, and apparently it took well over like 8 cop cars to get her out of the house and some ambulances. Like it was a whole scene.
Oh my
But when
word.
she got that, she lost her place at the aunt's and was forced to move in with Matt's mom, who had a house in PA that she had set up for her father, or Matt's grandpa, whatever you want to call him. So she ended up having to go there. And I found out through Matt's sisters a lot of the stuff that's been going on ever since then. Like her strangling her cat and burying it in the backyard. That was a few
Um,
months ago.
okay. Can you say more words about that, please?
Um, about the cat?
About the cat, yeah.
um, yeah. She got a cat last year. His name was Orion. He was the
Oh,
sweetest little orange kitty. I've got videos of him. And she had trained him how to like sit and lay down and like sit pretty where he's on his butt with his paws up like that. I have videos of this kitty. Like he was a really good boy. And I get a
was
note
there like
from my sister telling me that the cat died and apparently she killed it because she didn't want to pay for the vet bills because the cat ended up getting sick after it got neutered, and she had the audacity to strangle the cat instead of just giving it to a shelter or something else. Um,
that's
it's just a
who did you hear
mess.
that from?
Matt's sister that lives there in the house.
She saw this?
She saw her burying the cat and found out about the strangling a little bit later from her brother.
Goodness gracious. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Like Matt's little sister's even been to my house since then because she was bringing back some of my stuff that was there and was telling us about all this in person.
Oh my gosh.
Uh, it was wild. I
That
She's
makes me very sad.
everything I learn about her, because I find more stuff out almost every day. She's just a more and more vile and disgusting human being than I could have imagined her to be. Um, it's
So,
just
when
a
did
mess.
you when was her wedding? So you were at the wedding?
Yes, I was supposed to be the officiant since I'm a
Oh,
registered. Um,
wow.
I got there early so I could do her makeup because she didn't have anyone else there to do it. And we got my daughter, my partner, and I got there. I want to say around 2:30 ish. Yeah, it was 2:30 ish, and then around 3:30, other people were starting to arrive. But by that point, she was already like nodding out on me on the chair. Sorry, it wasn't a chair; it was a couch. She went from being completely fine to just like constantly nodding, and like her eyes were going all different directions. Now, we thought at the time it was her blood pressure or blood sugar causing her to get woozy and faint, because we've seen something like this before, but never that extreme. And like her family members are all around us watching this, like freaking out. But Matt was in the shower, so I had to wait for him to get out. And then I went up and got him, and he was like, okay, I'll take care of it. And then a few hours later is when he pulled me aside because he had to take her upstairs because she was just gone. He pulls me aside and he's like, I need you to tell everyone to go home because
Oh,
she's too high to
Lord.
do the wedding. She took most of her meds, like Haldol, Dilaudid, morphine, Oxy, all of it mixed together.
All of
I was
that?
pissed. But I had to tell everyone to go home before food was even out of the oven.
Oh. Was
Like,
this at her house?
yes, her mom's
Okay.
house, or Matt's mom's house, I guess, technically.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, it was a mess. It was just a mess.
Did she have so how many medications was she on? Do you know?
Are you talking just pain meds or all over? Because I could give you the majority of the list that I know.
No, I would love to hear all of them.
So she was allegedly taking, I'm going to say allegedly because I don't want to get people screaming at me, um, propranolol, midodrine, Zofran she took a lot of for the gastroparesis. She was on Reglan. She was taking, I believe, baclofen for a bit. And then she had from hospice, there's more meds I can't remember because I didn't see all of her medications. I just went with her to some doctor's appointments and they'd go over the
Mhm.
list then. But I know hospice dropped off a combination of Oxy, Dilaudid, Haldol, and morphine. And previously, before hospice, she was just on Oxy for the, um,
Oh my
that's
word.
cut her off. She is definitely being investigated by the police in Pennsylvania and in New York. Like, it's a mess. It's such a mess. Her primary care doctor, the one that recommended her for hospice, I
Hmm.
can send you letters she sent him, like chewing him out in a patient portal letter that she screenshot for me. He's been under investigation for a few months now.
For prescribing her things.
No, for uh, saying okay for the hospice scenario.
I see. Yeah,
Because
that
she's
makes a lot of sense.
3 years old. Like,
Hmm.
she doesn't have anything terminal. Not
No,
even.
and yeah, no, that's the thing. So when did you so you guys met and then you guys lived about an hour away. So how did you guys connect? How did you like start getting more like integrated into her life?
Uh, we talked a lot online before we ever met in person. And then when she moved to PA, she started coming to my house when I lived in Harrisburg, which was a little bit closer than where I am now.
Hmm.
And she was coming down to help me because I was not doing very well with my health at the time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And she'd come down, like my dog had just had puppies, which were Bernese Mountain Dog Newfoundland puppies. So I want to give you an idea that these are big puppies. And she was coming down to help me take care of them because at that point in time, I was about 30 to 40 pounds underweight. I could barely keep myself upright. She was helping my kid with school. She was cleaning the puppies. Like, she'd carry 1 to 2. Yeah, she stole meds from me, guys. She, yeah, she
Mm,
was carrying 1 to 2 puppies up a flight of stairs, giving them a full bath and blow dry, and then carrying them back down, and would clean up their puppy pen area, which was about 10 feet by 20 feet, I would say, and like clean the whole floor while attached to her feeds, and then still keep doing this, and then would clean the whole house. Like, we never asked her to do any of this, but she would. She'd come down a few times a week to help out. And then in June last year, she got her car repossessed, the Jeep that
mm,
everyone knows about. But yeah, we just got closer because we initially bonded over music, and then have allegedly the same chronic illnesses.
yeah.
I found out the day of the wedding that she was stealing some of my meds as well, because at that time I hadn't had any for a long time. I tried not to take pain medication unless I'm in a horrible flare,
Right.
and a few of my oxy went missing, even though she had, a pretty much a potluck of medications from hospice. Like, it
Can you
just,
tell can you tell us a little bit about, because pain management, like any sort of
yes.
pain management system is incredibly, I had to do this. I herniated a disc, and like any sort of pain management that you're on with a doctor is super regulated. Can you speak to a little bit about that?
Yes. So from her doctor, I met her pain management doctor. I'm not going to leak his name because I don't want to get in
Hmm.
trouble.
That's okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but he would regularly check her urine about once a month. They
Hmm.
occasionally did pill counts on her, but other than that, they weren't. I don't feel like they monitored her enough. But before all this happened, I was not aware of her running out of meds early or anything like that, or seeing. I have never seen her abuse medication before that wedding. Now, she
Hmm.
probably was and just wasn't getting nearly as messed up as she did in that live and the day of the wedding, but I'm guessing she didn't have much option to with the low pill count she got. Um, I remember her calling me to tell me about the pharmacist that allegedly stole some of her meds, and I still don't believe that happened, because when you get pain meds in PA, they
Hmm.
check your driver's license, and then the people that fill out the bottles. Hold on, I can grab mine.
Sure.
Right
Again,
on
we're
my person.
talking about Hope Otto. Um,
Yeah, it gets counted between 4 and 8 times, and whoever counts it, this isn't the right one, but whoever counts it has to circle the pill count and
mhm.
initial. And this is all done under a camera. It 100% has to be done on camera. So there are no ways. Yes, she's still alive, Kate, but there's no way for her to to have had them stolen from the pharmacist. She would have had to be taking them all.
I
Like,
feel
there
like
was no way.
pharmacists stealing medication is like a really would be a really big deal.
But yeah, it's just like, it doesn't happen.
Well, like a pharmacist stealing, I don't know. Like it's kind of like they wouldn't really have to steal like pills from like a patient's bottle. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they could take it
Like they
out
could
of
just,
the
you know what I mean? Like
bottle.
that's the thing. Like
Have
they have like,
it.
anyway, yeah, that's a little silly, but Um, oh, there was something I wanted to ask you. Yeah, because like any sort of controlled substance, there are so many laws and regulations going into this. So, um, for her, and they'll never prescribe any sort of pain med so that you get to the point where you're like fucked up. It's really just for quality of life.
Like, they're
And
really careful about dosing. She was
yeah.
on, I want to say, 5 or 7 milligram oxys. I'm not 100% sure, but
Mm-hmm.
it was between a 5 or 7 milligram 3 times a day. Like,
Okay.
that's not enough unless she was saving them for a while and then taking large doses later. But
Mm-hmm.
again, I'd never seen her do that. But I also didn't really babysit her when she was taking her meds. But PA's really on top of pain meds, and just even getting them in PA it's really difficult for anybody.
It's difficult for
I'm also,
everybody. Yes.
oh yeah, I bet. I just don't have experience in other states. I can just
Well, I
speak for
just know.
here.
No, I know. I think any sort of controlled substances, it's hard for anybody to really get any sort of opiates or controlled substances. They're really, really, and they never, ever prescribe it to a point where your eyes are rolling around in your head.
Oh, goodness,
Um,
no.
that's very troubling. Um, so how many, when did you start to suspect that maybe there was like a bigger issue, or maybe Hope is not being 100% transparent with me? I don't know if
I,
there's like an aha moment or if there's like a slow burn, but because sometimes it's not like oh, I caught you red-handed. It's just like a series of little things where you're just like, okay, the bigger picture here feels a
yeah.
little off.
Um, so I'm a little slow, especially when it comes
Stop.
to, I want to believe the people in my life so much,
I think a
especially the
lot of
people
people
that,
do.
so I was very delayed in the aha moment until later. My partner, who's behind me, kind of was like, whenever she started mentioning doing the VSED thing, he was like, "What? That makes no sense. She's a kid. Like, she's still a baby. Why would she be doing this? It doesn't make sense." Um, I was suspicious of a few things about like the severity of her EDS because she'd tell me she'd stay at my house for 2 to 3 days a week sometimes, like just to hang out and sleep
Mhm.
over. And she'd tell me like days before that she couldn't stand because her knees kept dislocating and she was having like over 30 dislocations a day and all this stuff. And I'd never seen her dislocate or even sublux a joint once.
Wow.
Um, Her boyfriend, fiance, whatever you want to call him, I have screenshots of him telling me that he thought she was staging fevers and her vomiting episodes. Because if you mix the right meds together, you can get anything to happen. Like, I'm not gonna. I learned a lot through this Reddit group, by the way.
Mhm.
But yeah, he had a few instances where she was putting herself in the hospital because if you notice when she was going into the hospital, it would have been around the time she needed her meds refilled.
Oh,
Not
that's
sick,
clever.
draw. And that took me forever to figure out, and that was long after the wedding. I stopped talking to her 3 days after the wedding. Mostly because she wasn't even coherent enough to text me. But once I got that information from the people on Reddit, I was just like, oh, and stuff started to click. Like, she found out I was autistic and asked me how I got diagnosed. And I was like, oh, it's just like a 4-hour test from your neurologist and some other stuff. Like, I was super vague about it because I didn't see why she'd care. And then a week later, she's like, oh, I just got diagnosed. And it's like, you're
No, she did
definitely
not.
not. Yeah. If you look at her following, like the people she's following on Instagram, it's all people that are sick, not family, not friends. It's people like myself. I used to post about like my EDS and everything else on there from time to time, and I took all that down a while ago because it was just like it's not important to me.
Oh, do you have
And
EDS also?
yes, I have EDS, gastroparesis, POTS, tibial torsion, a bunch of other just nonsense. I'm getting my port out soon, actually.
Oh my
But
word. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
studied me and how I behaved with my issues to a disgusting degree. I am pretty sure she was stalking my account for a long time. And then, like, when she'd ask me questions like, hey, do you ever deal with this? And, you know, I'd be like, yeah, and explain, like, how it felt for me. Because, again, I'm on the spectrum, so I'm just trying to relate to her. And I think that's how she got a lot of her information from other people and myself. Like, she really used and abused all of that.
It's like diabolical.
It, she's a brilliantly evil woman.
Mm.
Like, she's insanely smart, but also probably kind of just insane.
Yeah, you can
Like,
tell that she's smart. I mean, and it's a shame that this is kind of the route she went down.
oh yeah, she could have done anything.
Yeah.
Her first scheme in New York, people reached out to me that knew her there, including a woman that she had a friend, I'm not going to mention the name, in New
Mm-hmm.
York that was taking care of her when she had cancer. And this girl found out about it 2 weeks before she died. That Hope was faking everything. Hey, sorry, my puppy's getting in the plant. But her mom reached out to me and was like, you were fooled by a brilliant woman. Like, Hope broke her daughter's heart more than she'd ever seen her daughter cry before. It's amazing how many people she's wrapped up. Like, I'm laughing at my dog. We got to talking a little bit more, and I was in contact with some people that used to work with her. Mm-hmm. And found out she was never an EMT or EMS. She was a patient delivery driver, which means she takes people from one hospital to hospice or hospice to home or whatever.
What?
She doesn't have access.
She said
Patient,
EMT.
Nothing. That costume she bought online and decorated the pouches.
No.
Also, her page was hacked last week. Okay. I taught her how to make fake links a while back because I was trying to see if one of my exes was still messing with me. Mm. And I think she had that check out the free stuff I'm giving link to see who's still keeping tabs on her.
Okay.
I don't think she was actually hacked. There's so much. It's such a deep rabbit hole of nonsense.
I know.
Put it in a pot that's heavier so she can't knock it over.
But I know I had a hard time fitting it into just 2-3 minute videos because I was like, this is really detailed and intense.
When she was in New York and being a patient delivery driver, she had a burner that she was using to pretend to be a nurse taking care of terminally ill children. And she stole from these kids. Like, the feeding pump she left here at my house is from a 2-year-old that was dying of cancer.
Can you say that again?
Yeah. Hope was pretending to be a nurse on a burner phone and taking care of terminally ill children that were, dying from things like cancer, and stole from them medical devices like feeding pumps, EpiPens, the whole nine. The oxygen cannula she stole from the hospital, and what you heard in the background wasn't an oxygen machine. That's the window AC unit I gave her last summer because they don't have air conditioning in their house. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Sorry,
actually, that little girl.
Oh, who was she posing as a nurse to? Like the parents? Like she was talking to the parents about their child?
To be a home travel nurse.
Dude, that's evil.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a disgusting, horrible human being.
When was it? So you stopped talking to her after the wedding, so that was in December, right?
Yeah, her wedding was December 18th. Sorry. That never happened.
Right. Did you ever see her under the influence before like that?
No. Never saw her like that before. I would have definitely been on her butt like, what's going on, buddy? Like, what's this? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? But
yes, Hope is still alive, by the way.
Yes. And again, guys, she was not on oxygen while she was vaping. It was a fake. It was an oxygen cannula that she stole from the hospital with a window AC unit in the background.
When did you find out about it?
The feeding pump I found out about probably a few months ago. She still has Facebook, and I'm still on her Facebook, oddly enough, even though she has me blocked on everything else.
Do you think that she actually was sick though? Because the thing is that you don't think so?
I can tell you from my experience with EDS and a bunch of my other friends that have the similar conditions as her. Now I understand we are all affected differently. Mm-hmm. but the way symptoms and everything were displayed, it never fit quite right. Like so she went and saw my gastroenterologist, who quite literally saved my life in 2020, and gave, he got me TPN and everything else. I actually was in the room when he looked at her after he had done several gastric emptying studies and an endoscopy. And he told her, he's like, I don't have any evidence of gastroparesis. You don't need your feeding tube. And she just shut down during the appointment. Was like, okay. Like, okay.
Oh. So yeah, she did make a lot of claims that she wasn't able to like eat or drink by mouth.
Oh God, she ate McDonald's and candy all the time. When we were cleaning out the nightstand that she used, she had little baggies of candy that were labeled by calorie count, because it's just a severe eating disorder.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't have gastroparesis. I'm pretty sure she was putting Epicac or something through her feeding tube to get those vomiting episodes, and or it was withdrawal. Because the times I had taken her to the hospital from my house, she woke me up just super sweaty, puking all over the place, shaking, dizzy. That's pain med withdrawal. That's severe pain medication withdrawal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What was your opinion on VSED? Like, when did she ever tell you about it? Like, this is something I'm thinking
Yeah,
about pursuing?
I have screenshots of that too. I'd be happy to send you on Instagram or something. I'll send you as
Sure.
much information as you want. So she contacted me a little bit after her 24th birthday in October, telling me, and I quote, I found a loophole to Pennsylvania's DNR. It's called VSED. I can finally end this bullshit.
Like life?
Yeah. Andrew, she was putting her pain meds through her feeding tube. She wouldn't get nauseous doing it that way, just so you know. Yeah, she was putting all of her meds through her feeding tube. She was even putting alcohol through it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Like,
word.
Mike's hard. She'd steal some tequila. Yeah.
I'm
Her
sorry. I'm just
excuse was,
so.
wait.
But tell me, what were your initial thoughts about like VSED? Like, what did you?
So, we're going to get really real for a moment. In 2020, hadn't I not had my child, I would have probably pulled the plug on myself. I wouldn't have done it like that, because starving yourself to death is a horrible, horrible, slow, painful death. And I was already pretty much starving to death with the cyclic vomiting and gastroparesis as was. I was supportive to a degree, but I was still trying to be like, no, let's just give it some more time. Let's find you another doctor. Let's see what we can do. And I was very confused about her reasoning for it, mainly being because her doctor had cut her off the pain meds. And it's like, dude, like, you can get something else that works. You have your prescription marijuana card. You can get kratom from gas stations. Like, there are alternatives to this. Like, I didn't understand, but I also completely understood at the same time. But I begged her not to do it for a long time, and then she asked me to be her 24/7 care while she was dying.
She did.
Yeah, she had a few nights where she had my daughter and I sit down with her and look at cremation jewelry. Because, and I quote, my ashes are limited edition. This is not a violation of HIPAA. I'm not one of her providers. But I am powers of attorney.
Are you really?
I was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's part of the reason why this story resonated with me, because I'm also a chronic illness sufferer, and like I'm a meningitis survivor, and I have a
Oh,
pretty severe, yeah, and I have a pretty severe panic disorder as a result. And there have been times where it's really, really hard to choose health and to choose life and to choose to fight when you're in so much pain and like you're really suffering. So spreading the message that it's romantic to choose VSED to end all of it is really problematic to a lot of people,
It is.
especially if they're in a lot of pain.
There's been a few women that had suicide attempts, if not complete success with committing suicide because of Hope's story. They were sending her
Really.
messages encouraging, she was sending them messages encouraging them to fight for VSED no matter what. Because they deserve peace.
See, and that's the thing, you know, that's what I had a big issue with is like the message that she's putting out there. Yeah, so I really appreciate you sharing that because that's why I resonated with this, or part of the reason why I resonated with it so strongly. Um, because it really seems like, yeah, like she's very smart, but um I think a lot of people she fooled a lot of people.
She really did.
She really did. It's because it's like it's almost like this Amber Heard thing, you know? Like, have you
Yep.
been following this at all? Yeah, because it's like there's no way you would lie about this, right? Like there's just no way you could
Yeah,
lie about this because no like reasonably sane person would lie about this.
right? Like, that's another reason I believed her so much. She's also
Mhm.
extremely smart. So everything that she was saying had weight to it and had knowledge and effort behind it. And it was
Mhm.
just like, okay.
Mhm.
But, now what? Like, what was your plan? You had 100, you went from 2,000 followers to 153,000, and you didn't think anyone was going to wonder? Also, if she's been pre-fasting this long, why isn't she dead? Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but it makes no sense at this point.
Well, yeah,
Pre-fast.
can you explain pre-fasting a little bit?
Yes. So, according to the hospice people I have spoken to outside of this, I've had some very lovely people come forward and willing to talk to me that are in the profession, saying that pre-fasting is BS and it does not happen.
Oh, what do you mean?
So she wanted to do something as a pre-fast as a way for her body to, this is Hope's words, as a way for her body to adjust to the starvation, but that's not how it's done. Like, the pre-fast was supposed to be her going on, I think, 400 to 450 calories a day for a
Mhm.
week before she started VSED to ease into the transition. But anyone I've talked to said that that's not how it goes.
How does it usually go? Do you know? Like, what do they say?
They just start VSED. Like, there wouldn't have been pre-fasting. You just go cold turkey basically off food and water, and it's really a hard way to go because you have to really want to do this, and dying takes a lot of courage, not to mention just pushing yourself through all the pain that goes with starving to death. Like,
Because
she would
that's
have had,
essentially what VSED is.
it is starving to yourself to death. Like, it's not a pleasant
Nope.
experience. I don't know why anyone would want to do that except for her as a last ditch effort to get drugs from hospice.
Mhm.
That's
Do
the
you
only thing that makes sense.
So do you think that the VSED started before all of her TikTok stuff, or was it a way to gain notoriety? What do you have an
She,
opinion on that?
from talking to her versus the first video she started posting about, she was looking into the hospice thing around the same time she started talking about VSED on TikTok. I don't
Mhm.
know if she expected it to blow up, but she did at one point say that she wasn't going to die for anything and she wanted people to know they have this option. She wanted to be a martyr for the chronic illness community, basically, and now she's throwing a temper tantrum because she's not going to get that.
I feel like she has bigger problems than like at this
Yeah!
point.
Yeah.
You know, like
Oh, yeah. Like,
so,
murdering your cat and not paying rent and stealing thousands of dollars from people. This scam she's gotten over $12K from. And she was spending about $600 plus a week on weed with it. Like, it just, ugh.
I mean, some people will say that weed is like the best medicine, but
Oh,
you
it can't
know,
be effective for everybody.
well, you know,
And,
and it's just like there's probably a better way to spend your money. That's a lot
like,
of weed. That's like so much weed. I don't even know how. Um, so the 12K was just from all of the TikTok stuff?
yeah. She was supposed to be donating a lot of that towards, I think she said she was going to be making goodie bags for the kids in the hospital that she was
Mm-hmm.
staying at. That
Mm-hmm.
didn't happen. She stole pictures offline and posted those saying she went and did it. Because if you Google,
I thought she did the toy drive. Oh, can you talk a little bit about that?
yeah, she
I
took
think
all the
people
money.
are literally like completely,
Yeah.
maybe completely unfamiliar with this case. So please tell
Oh,
us a
yeah.
little bit more about that.
Before she started getting really serious about the VSED stuff, when she was still just in the hospital a lot, she went into, again, for her withdrawal, not being
Mm-hmm.
actually sick, she wanted to gather a bunch of toys for the kids that were there and was supposed to be dropping them off and donating all the excess money towards, I forget what she was supposed to donate it towards. It was the children's fundraiser, though.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't talk to me much about that one. But yeah, so she was like, yeah, the news wants to talk to me to thank me for this kind deed I've done. And then I went and Googled images, and you can trace back an image pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
And did that and reverse image searched, and it came up for a different fundraiser.
Oh
Like, she just
no.
from somewhere online. It's ridiculous. Like,
That's really
yeah.
sad. I really thought that she had like seen that through. But that does take a really like that's a big like logistical challenge, to be honest. Like I
For
was
the
also
people that are, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
There's people asking where Hope is right now. She's still in Pennsylvania in Matt's mom's house. Still pretty active on Facebook and Instagram. Like, she's just hanging there.
I didn't realize that she was still on Instagram. I thought that she was
Yes,
private.
she didn't remember to remove all of her followers. Hi. I'm also still on her Facebook.
What kind of
So I
content
can
is
just,
she posting lately?
she's not really posting. Um, she posted a story update on Instagram earlier that was like this sad video saying some people changed and all this stuff. It was just like a lyric video with a car driving somewhere. Someone posted that one on Reddit, so you can find it in the thread. I tried not to pay too much attention to it because I was laughing too hard. It's such crap. When she had that, I got added into a group chat by a woman from TikTok who found her and some of her family and friends on Facebook. And the group chat was to confront Hope about the cancer scam as well as this one. And Hope was in the group and at some point replied that her cancer scam was just a phase and that people go through phases sometimes. I was like, what? I can send you screenshots of that too. Like, it's all absolutely wild.
So the cancer scheme was a phase.
Yeah, it was just a quirky little phase.
Um, she wasn't really held accountable for that, was she? Like nothing really
No,
happened, right?
they told her they wouldn't hold her accountable if she donated all the money that she got towards this one fundraiser for a friend's kid that's sick, and she went and bought a Jeep and fled the state because she had her suicide attempt. She got out
The
of it with
one
that suicide.
the one where she wrote the doses of what she took, right? And left
Yeah.
it stapled to her shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like laid by the front door. make sure it was unlocked, cracked the door. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Make sure the boyfriend's coming in on time,
Yeah. No. Oh.
Yeah.
Um,
Restrained from what I heard because she was trying to fight everybody at the same time. Yeah. Like,
so
it was
like a standoff?
So she ended up having, I could find the message from someone that was there, but she had well over 6 cop cars, a bunch of ambulances in the house trying to get her out, and then they had to tie her to a gurney because she was being hostile. Yeah.
Has she ever seen like any sort of like
A psych?
do you think that, I mean, I'm not trying to, imply, but it just seems like she's like a really, really troubled person.
Her mom was putting her through, she's been in psych hospitals a bunch. She's even received electric shock therapy because she was put in initially for an eating disorder and pathological lying.
Ah.
And, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, with yeah, she would tell people that she was SA'd by her dad, and that never happened. He drove up from Florida to be at her wedding and then sit at her bedside after I told her I wasn't helping with VSED anymore. And he sat with her for a week until someone sent him screenshots of her claiming all that nasty stuff about him, and he went back.
So she claims the essay, like, after she came up and stayed with him?
She said it happened her entire life when she was little.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she would say that her mom was abusive. Her mom wasn't. Yeah. Her brother's really nice. He seems well balanced.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, again. Oh my God.
It's a rabbit hole.
It is. You're not even. You're not. I'm sorry. I'm still reeling from the cat thing, and
I'm sad. Like how? Why? Like, that's some sociopathic, psychopath behavior at that point. Why would a Munchausen patient kill a cat?
To get the attention.
Ugh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, because there's like, I read that there is a big component of like failure to thrive with Munchausen's, and the way that people use attention is like, I don't know, like they just can't, it's like a failure to launch sort of thing. I don't know.
Like, failure to thrive doesn't really happen unless you're an infant or an elderly person with Alzheimer's or dementia.
I guess this needs to be some sort of term for failure to thrive as an adult, because that's what it seems like when you just lie and cheat your way through your life. And I don't know. There are just certain people and certain stories that you come across, and you're just it's mind-boggling, like how this is possible, or that a human's brain is capable of doing this to other people.
I couldn't even fathom lying or doing half the stuff she's done. And then when you learn all this other crap, it's just, ugh. Yeah, it's.
Again,
I need so much therapy from this. Like, I needed some to begin with, but holy crap.
I'm so sorry you went through all of this. Did you ever talk to her dad and so you met her dad and her family and everything?
I met her dad, her brother, a few of her aunts, and some other people at the wedding. They were all extremely sweet people.
Oh. Like, how big was the wedding?
I'd say less than 20 people.
Okay.
Yeah, I was the only friend of hers that was there. Matt didn't have any friends there. Matt actually quit his job, or not quit his job, dropped out of college when he was in New York to take care of her when she had cancer. Yes, Matt's still with her, guys.
What is he like? I would love to know what he's like.
He's very reserved, very quiet. Really keeps to himself. He didn't like me.
Oh.
whenever I was there, he'd go sit and drink in his car or sit on the porch and drink.
Mm-hmm.
He liked to drink a lot. But he was trying to warn me very subtly over the years. It's one of those things, like, if you're not upfront with me, it's not going to click.
I see. Mm-hmm.
But I think he's benefiting from all of this financially, so he's just not going to get rid of her.
I see. Okay.
Dog, come here.
Yes, Matt is her partner. Do we know if does Matt work?
He works at AutoZone.
What does he do?
He works at AutoZone.
Okay.
But his grandpa was so sick of all of the BS that Hope was bringing to the house that he moved back to New York. Like, this 80-plus-year-old man was so tired of Hope's drama and nonsense that he moved back to a 3-story house.
That breaks my heart.
He was really... Yes, this is a corgi.
That's a beautiful puppy, by the way.
Thank you.
What's its name?
Gonk.
Gonk. Hi, Gonk.
Say hi.
Just sitting so nice.
She's 10 weeks old and so good.
10 weeks old. Oh my god. Yeah. My daughter really wants to get a pet, and I'm like on the fence about it because I work a lot, and I know that, you know.
Yeah. Get a gecko. They're really easy.
A gecko? Okay. Okay.
Kids want to hold their pets.
I know.
Yeah, if you get a gecko, you feed it 3 times a week. It doesn't need specialty lighting for the most part. You can hold them. They're pretty easy.
What made your Tom?
A gecko.
Ooh.
No, I'm not saying. We could
no, honey, it's okay. We're on a different subject. I appreciate it, though. Wants to show off one of our geckos.
Aww. I would never say no to a gecko. Is there a treatment for Munchausens?
I think therapy is about
therapy. Mm-hmm. It's you know, I've read that it's notoriously difficult to actually diagnose Munchausens. Yeah, because it's you have to be like 1,000% sure.
Yeah.
Not only that, you have to have a mountain of evidence, but if you even claim it, I mean, you're most likely going to scare that person off, and you'll never see them ever again.
Yeah.
And because of like a lot of patient laws, typically if it's something, they'll go into the hospital and they have to treat any symptoms they have. And there's an element of like you have to be willing to work on it yourself. So,
back to talking about Hope a little bit.
Yeah.
She had her one surgeon, because like I can send you all these screenshots. That would direct admit her if she called. Just skipped to the ER, got her a room, and immediately she'd have Dilaudid and nausea meds as soon as they got an IV placed.
What?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know. She'd had me call him a few times for her to get her admitted, even though I don't live near her. Like,
she had a room. Who would she call? Like a nurse or a doctor? She had on speed dial?
She directed all that surgeon. And he would get a room in the hospital and meds as soon as the IV was placed. I'd seen it happen a bunch.
Okay. You know, and I mean, like, that's awesome that she got a doctor that was able to do that. I mean, that's a really nice perk to have if you're a patient.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, really, that's really nice. Have you ever experienced any of like her doctor shopping?
No.
Okay.
Anytime she had a lot of her, so she had her pain management doctor that she found independently. She had her primary, which she found independently. And as far as I know, she never really jumped around trying to find anyone else. She saw my GI doctor after I had referred him to her. She saw a cardiologist that she also found independently, but they also said that she didn't even have symptoms of POTS. Like, They don't she claims she has a loop recorder in her chest, but I don't think it showed up on any of the x-rays or anything that they did. Yeah. A mess.
So POTS is like a low blood pressure. It's with your blood pressure, right?
Blood pressure and heart rate. So there's different types of POTS. Some of them just affect so the blood pressure goes down, the heart rate goes up. Some people have the heart rate and blood pressure go up.
Okay.
So that one's called hyperpots when it has both of them go up. That's why she was on the propranolol and the Minidrin. It was supposed to help keep her blood pressure raised because hers would drop too low. No, she is not on disability. She was only awarded it temporarily, but she got denied the last few times. Yeah, it's disgusting. It's just disgusting.
And Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so that has to do, is that with your skin? Is that with your joints? Is that with your bones?
So Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder, and connective tissue is over 80% of your body. It's in your organs, your skin, your everything. There's over 14 different types of EDS now that I've heard of. And you have to be tested and diagnosed by a geneticist. Now, when I asked her who her geneticist was, she never gave me an answer. She would just keep saying, I don't know. But, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of patients have stretchy skin or it's really soft. Keep in mind, you don't have to have all of the stretchy skin and everything else to get a diagnosis. There's something called a Baton scale test that they'll do first, typically, to see if you have the hypermobility. My skin's not super stretchy, but I do dislocate a lot and I'm really bendy.
Ouch. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
The reason I've got the EDS caused by tibial torsion, gastroparesis, POTS, everything else. So it greatly affects the entire system. It can also cause tethered cord and a bunch of other just nasty things. I have a cervical cranial instability, but physical therapies help that a good bit, so it's not as severe. But if I look down and like turn my head side to side, you can hear my neck clicking.
Oh my gosh. It sounds like Hope has everything you have. It does sound like she's kind of parroting your all of your conditions.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Disgusted and very used. It's like I feel like she studied and used me and never had any intention of being a good friend.
It was just take and take and take and.
Well, that's the thing is when she was around and here, she was always with me. She was like, she listened. She could almost read when something was wrong. Like, we almost didn't have to talk because we understood each other to a degree. And then the week before, what'd you say? It was like a week or two before the weddings when she started acting really weird with me. Yeah, she's got really odd and distant out of nowhere. And it was right after she got approved of hospice. Now, I'd gone with her to some of those hospice interviews with the different companies, and a lot of the people that were there were looking at her like she was insane for even considering.
I need you to tell me what one of those visits was like.
So, the first one
What is it like? Oh my gosh. What actually happened in that room?
So, this lady came to Hope's house because she allegedly couldn't walk at the time, but she walked her butt down the stairs in front of the woman and sat at the table in front of her. And this older woman, this poor lady, her name was actually Karen, was sitting there, legs crossed at the table, looking at her like this, going, tell me why you're here. Tell me why you want to do this. All this other crap. And she was like, well, I don't know if our company's going to accept someone as young as you. Like, I think she was trying to be nice about telling her no. But she, like, definitely didn't believe her about a lot of stuff, because, like, her partner and I were sitting on the same side of the table, and then Hope was across from us with Karen. And at both of us when Hope was talking, we were just looking at her like huh? Like, so I think she was paying attention to that. Like,
so was it like she had to like sell herself and tell her story and present all of her files and the whole thing?
Yep. But she acted like she was too tired to do it, so she'd keep asking Matt and I to do it. And I'm like, dude, I don't know most of your information. Like, this is your procedure, not mine. I'm just here for comfort. Like,
could you imagine
Matt called off
the audacity?
I don't know where she got it. I don't know what store she got all that audacity at.
I know I need to go and find that store because I need some of it.
Yeah.
I swear. Some people, I just don't know where they get the audacity. But she did find up finding a hospice company, didn't she?
Yes.
Were you there for that?
No.
Okay.
One didn't interview her. So
They didn't
she sent her primary care doctor. She screenshot it and sent it to me, telling him that, and I quote, "All this is BS. You were supposed to look into these hospice providers to make sure that they're in my network and all this other stuff." Because a lot of them would just say, "Oh, it looks like your insurance because she has Aetna." Just like Medicare or Medicaid. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not expert on insurance or anything. But she's like, "You're supposed to make sure these people are in my network," and they're all calling me back saying that they're not, and you're being lazy and not doing your job and all this other shit. I'm just like, whoa.
She said that to you?
She said that to the doctor.
Oh, okay.
Her primary care doctor, she sent that to him in a message. And then sent me screenshots of it after, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, he's just trying to do his job. It's not his fault. Like, you can't just go after him because you got denied by a few places. Just, it's insane. It's all insane.
It's bonkers. But but right now, so you said that she is on Facebook. She's apparently back on Instagram, posting stories. Really emotionally charged stories.
Not really. She allegedly got hacked last week, and everyone on her account, I don't know if it was mutuals or friends or whatever, got a message from her saying, "Look in my bio now for a link because I'm giving away a bunch of free stuff." And then a few hours later, she posted a story being like, "Hey guys, I was hacked." And it was like a picture of a squishmallow and some other stuff in the background. It's like, you weren't hacked, because like people would have to go to the link in the bio and click it. Now I didn't, because I don't trust her. I also don't trust if it was a hacker, just in case, but I'm pretty sure it was a fake link that would track what screen names checked on that link. Because you can do stuff like that pretty easy.
Yeah.
And she's just smart. No.
Her Instagram, is it private or not? I'm sorry, you said it's not private, right? It is private.
I'm on friends list, so it wouldn't be private. I don't know if it still is private or not to everybody else. I'm also still on her Facebook.
So I know that it's I say at the end of my video not to get in touch with her with positive or negative attention of any kind.
Yeah, it's
Can
not
you speak to that a little bit? What are your thoughts?
Not reaching out to her? It's not worth getting emotionally invested in any way, shape, or form with a person like Hope. You're not going to get through to her. You're not going to help her. All you're going to do is give her more attention and pretty much encourage her to keep going with the BS. The best thing, I think, for everyone to do is just ignore her and keep reporting her to the police if you were involved with the situation. and help everyone with that situation in general, because we haven't had enough people come forward that donated or got scammed by her to really have a huge case.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really unfortunate, people complaining, saying they did donate.
Yeah. You know, I think she made a lot of people feel foolish because she took advantage of their kind nature.
And
that I don't think that's anybody's fault.
No, and people shouldn't feel bad for being fooled by her. We were all fooled by an incredibly brilliant woman.
Mm-hmm.
And you should not feel upset with yourself for letting that happen. It just shows that you were a better person than she is. And you having a heart when she doesn't shouldn't make you feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, proud of yourself and just get yourself out of that situation and be a little bit more tactful probably in the future is all I can say. But no one should feel bad or like they're stupid or anything for falling for that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. To reiterate, Hope Otto told a very intricate lie about being sick. This is her very good friend who experienced all of this with her, and she put out a very, very problematic message, which I think is another thing that people is really the biggest lesson from this. Or there's several, but that people are capable.
Oh yeah.
Of really, evil is a spectrum, and I'm sorry, but I think that like lying to an incredible like a vulnerable community of people is on there. I do. And she promoted that VSED, or very voluntarily stopping eating and drinking, is a viable option to chronic illness. It is not.
No, it really
is another very important thing to take away from this. And excuse me, but yeah, I'm going to hop off now because I have to work in the morning. Thank you so much for talking. This was great.
Happy to be here. I want to help as much as I can with getting this story out there, because I think the more attention it gets, the closer we're going to have to her getting busted.
Yeah, and for more people to not do this. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's a shame more people haven't come forward for some of these other patients that have pulled this type of stuff in the past either.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to talk to me more, you can hit me up on Instagram, and I will happily send you screenshots and anything else I can get you, because I've got everything.
Girl, I totally will. I'm gonna hold you to that, because I will. I will stalk.
Go ahead.
I will. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, and thank you for everybody for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks again. We'll live soon.